2 years ago, I did a 5-mile wheelie, and I'm currently training to double that to a 10-mile wheelie. And upon doing that, I got a puncture in my front tire, which I was surprised by because the front wheel on this bike is hardly ever on the ground. Nonetheless, I had to take it to the closest bike shop that I could find, and that bike shop ended up being Mike's Bikes. But we did happen to run into Deion Sanders while we were out doing wheelies, which was pretty cool. Now back to Mike's Bikes. I headed back there to check something out that I couldn't believe I was looking at. While I was getting my tire fixed, I noticed this budget hardtail over here, and I couldn't believe the price. And once I saw this, you know I had to let you know when I see a good deal. We got the GT Zascar right here. How have I never heard of this bike? This bike is only $7.99 right now, so you know I gotta check this out. I came in here to get my wheelie bike tire replaced, or the inner tube replaced. I had a really great experience in here. Highly suggest coming to check them out if you're in the Denver area. And I just happened to see this GT, so I said, hey, can I check this bike out? Because I think a lot of people would like to know about this bike, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of this bike, such as myself. Now, you know, when I find a good deal, I gotta tell y'all about it. And this is not only a good deal, this is a great deal. After I saw this bike, I said, I gotta come back and I gotta check this out and let you know what I think about this bike and if it's worth it or not. And just by going with the eye test, it's more than worth it. For the specs you get, for the price that it's at, I don't think anything can beat it at this point. Let me know if there's anything out there that can, but I haven't seen anything at this price point where you get the things you get on this bike. Now, this bike is listed at $7.99, and for $7.99, you get a SRAM drivetrain, you get a dropper post, you get Tektro Gemini SL brakes. You also get the RockShox 35 fork. It's a coil spring fork, so no air adjustments or anything like that. You do have a rebound adjustment, but for this price, I mean, just having a RockShox fork on here, that's a good thing in itself. You also get WTB rims and tires on this bike. And these are the breakout tires, 29-inch 2.3s, very knobby, got some good tread on them, ready for the trails. But the cool thing about this, and let me remind you, at $7.99, the wheels are tubeless ready. Come on now, that's worth $7.99 in itself. And this is not a sponsored video, just to let you know. This is just me seeing something that I think is worth it, and it's worth letting you know, because if you are in the area or can get your hands on this bike and you're looking for a budget, highly capable, entry-level mountain bike, this might be the one for you. This is a size medium, so I'm gonna give you a little visual of what I look like on it. I'm about 5'8", so this is what I look like with the dropper posts all the way up on the size medium at 5'8". Before we take it out on the ride, let's see what it feels like in this grass. It's a little chunky out here. We're in the city, so we ain't got no trails to go on, so we got to make do with what we got. But it feels pretty good. One thing I did forget to mention on this bike, which is major at this price point, it does have a 1x12 drivetrain. I'm kind of glad I did ride it through this grass a little bit, because what I am feeling is this fork. With it being a coil spring fork, I could definitely feel the disadvantages of it. But like I said, at this price point, you can't go wrong with this bike, especially with it having a tapered head tube. You can throw any kind of fork you want on here. And it's a 130 millimeter travel fork, which is awesome at this price point, because you usually get 120. Because my sweet spot when it comes to any trail I ride, 140 will do the trick. All right, let's take this on the spin around the block. See what it feels like. Now, what I meant about you could feel the disadvantages of the fork. When I was going over those small bumps on the grass, I could feel the chatter. It was real bouncy, and I mean, you could tell it was a coil spring fork for sure. But most people who start off with this bike won't be really worried about that kind of stuff, especially considering you can upgrade the fork later. I think this is the same fork I have on my Aventon Ramblers, and you saw what I did on that bike in Bentonville. It had no issues on those trails. Gears switch smooth. Now I will say one, if you want to call it a disadvantage, I don't really like to say that because of the price point, but this is a quick release on the rear. It's a through axle on the front, but a quick release skewer on the rear. And I know that's a deal breaker for a lot of people that's really experienced with mountain bikes. But as far as the beginner rider goes, I don't think they'll really care. Plus the fact that you can upgrade this fork to anything you want in the front pretty much. Even if you wanted to have this bike for a while, I think that would offset having the quick release for most people who are not really trying to be extreme riders. They just want a good quality bike that they don't have to spend a lot of money for. That's the workaround. It will work for me, that's for sure. Now I do need to go back and ask them, are these tires tubeless ready? Because it doesn't say it on the tires. And I know some of these WTB tires, they don't end up being tubeless ready. I know the rims are for sure, but I'll check back in and see if these tires are for sure or not. Do you know if these the tires are tubeless or not?
They're tubeless ready wheels.
Okay.
The tires you would need to upgrade.
Okay.
Yep. And then if and when people do buy a bike like this from us and they wanted to upgrade, we do a 25% discount on those new tires.
Okay.
So like when you upgrade parts, we'll give a discount.
Let's go up this little curve right here, see how it feels. Oh, not bad. Oh yeah, this thing would be awesome on the trails. I can already feel it. $7.99. Oh man, it's gonna be hard to get all the things you get on this bike for $7.99. The dropper post alone is a major advantage to this bike, and it being at $7.99, because you can't even get, it's $1,200 bikes that you can't even get with the dropper post. Let's go through here, roundabout. I guess if you wanted to commute on this thing, you could too, because I don't feel a lot of lag in the bike. It doesn't feel like it's dragging or sluggish. This is a 1x12 drivetrain as well. What bike you know at $7.99 where you get a 1x12 drivetrain too? Now, I do have to say, this bike did retail at $1,600, I think, which is way overpriced in my opinion, especially considering you can get a Roscoe 7 or 8 for this price. But now that they come back down to reality and price this bike accordingly, in my opinion, even maybe a little bit less than ideal, I think this bike could easily be $900. But the fact that it's $7.99, I think you get a lot for your money with this. Let's turn around. But yeah, at $1,600, I think it was at, let me see. Oh shoot, it was $17.99. Yeah, they were super crazy for that. I would definitely not suggest buying this at $17.99, nowhere even close. But $1,000 off? Oh yeah, you better believe it's worth it. So let me know what you think about this bike. I would buy this if I was in the market for an entry-level hardtail. After checking out all the other bikes, searching around, just seeing what components have what versus the price, I think I'm gonna go back to this grass, but I think you get a lot for this. I mean, yeah, you could jump up to a Roscoe for $1,300, but that's a significant price jump from $799. And honestly, the only thing that you would be gaining with that bike is 140, a 140 fork, and a through axle on the rear. Now, y'all know how I feel about the Roscoe. That's my favorite bike. But for $600 or $700 more, I mean, I would just stick with something like this if it was available to me. Yeah, see, I can feel the chatter in this fork. So the small bump compliance is not really there. But like I said, you can upgrade the fork, and at $799, I mean, how much can you complain with what you get? The fact that you get a dropper post, that's a game changer in itself. These handlebars do have a little bit of sweep backwards. I do like that. Makes for a comfortable position. I do feel more upright on this bike. Not that that's a bad thing, but the riding posture on this bike does feel a little more upright. So yeah, let me know what you think about this bike. I highly suggest coming to check it out if you're in the Denver area, or you can order it online, I'm sure. But definitely check out Mike's Bikes. It was uncomfortably friendly in there for me when I went in there. They treated me so good, I wasn't used to it. And not that they treated me special or anything, it's just respectful. Just nice, courteous, asked if I needed help, answered my questions with no judgment or anything. And they didn't know who I was either, so I didn't tell them I had a YouTube channel. I hardly tell anybody, honestly, but yeah, they didn't know any of that. They just talked to me like I was a normal person, like I had brain cells. And now I'm back, and I plan to bring some bikes in here to get them worked on because I like the hospitality in here, and it's a friendly environment. It's pretty cool. My friend recommended it to me, and it didn't let me down. They have a 4.9 Google review, which is crazy. I don't see that too often. But yeah, back to this bike. Super awesome. Definitely go check it out. Shoot, if I just happen to have some extra money to spend like that, shoot, I might buy this bike myself. That's how much I'm interested in this. I would say the only thing it lacks is a rear through axle. But like I said, at $799, you nitpicking at that point. This thing is awesome.